Let me share with you a story. The world's greatest Olympic athlete is an Englishman called Steven Redgrave. Now, he hasn't won the most gold medals, but he's the only athlete in the history of the Olympic Games to win a gold medal at 5 consecutive Olympics. Imagine what it takes to be at the top of our chosen field for over 20 years. After Redgrave won his 5th gold medal, he was interviewed for British television. The interviewer said, "What do you think makes you better than the others?" He said, "I think it's because I train on Christmas Day and my competitors don't." He isn't saying he worked twice as hard. They all trained on 364 days of the year. He trained on the 365th, a tiny little extra effort to keep him at the top of his chosen field. So however many appointments anybody here has each week, here's a suggestion for you. Make one more. That's all. Make one more appointment each week. Just think what'll happen. That's 50 more appointments for the year. Maybe 35 of them will be there when we go to the meeting. At least 10 of them will buy from us. If the average commission is $500, that's an extra $5,000 of income this year from one more appointment each week. When we go home from this meeting, and your much beloved says to you, "Well, darling, did you get any good ideas?" Tell her this, or tell him this. What the speaker said, if I make one more appointment each week, you can have an extra $5,000 to spend this year. What do you think your darling will say? I know what my darling would say. Make 2! Now, if our action, our activity, and our goals, our vision, are the building blocks of our careers, where will we find the mortar that binds it all together? It's in our discipline. The difference between fulfilling our potential and not fulfilling it, between mediocrity and real success, is all in the word discipline. The most successful people in this world discipline themselves to do the things the less successful don't like doing. Now, I'm choosing my words carefully. I'm not saying the most successful people enjoy the things the less successful don't want to do. But we discipline ourselves to do those things, whether we enjoy doing them or not. Discipline. I have a client. Comes from the most humble background, and he built a business worth many, many millions of dollars. And I'd visit him every year, and he would sit behind his big desk in his big office, and on his desk would only ever be one piece of paper. And I asked him on one occasion what he kept on the piece of paper. He said, "Tony, it's the secret of my success." I said, "Please share it with me." He said, "It's very simple. Before I go home at the end of every day, I make a list of what I intend to do tomorrow. When I come in the morning, I start at the top of the list and work through to the end." Is this a new idea? No. How many people in this room have a piece of paper, a list on our desks of what we intend to do when we get back to work? Of course we all do. So I asked him the obvious question. I said, "What happens on those days you don't get to the bottom of your list?" And he said, "Tony, you weren't listening. Some days I get to go home early, and some days I have to work late, but I always finish what's on my list." Discipline, discipline, discipline. And please, never go home on a negative note. Has anybody here had a really bad day ever? You know, one of those days when nothing goes right, when our best prospect, not only did he not buy, but he wasn't even there when we went to the meeting. Does this ever happen to anyone here? Of course it does. So what do?